Charlie, I'm going to have you explain this tournament a little bit so you can prepare for that.
Okay, here we go. Thanks for joining us today for Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our after show Buzz Reaction. I'm Ruth Nelson, joined by Hall of Famers Mick Haley, Bob Bertucci, and Brian Gimolero, bringing you the most current issues and trends in volleyball. Our weekly news show has leaders in our sport provide their perspective on the questions that are asked, along with the discussion on topics that are current and ones that are affecting all of us. Our news flash. Tomorrow will be our 1-year anniversary of Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our Buzz Reaction. We want to personally say thank you to all those coaches that have been our guests, as you are our show of today and tomorrow. Without your discussion, we would not be informed of current issues and trends. Want to make a difference? Please remember to renew your AVCA membership. This one organization that represents all coaches at all levels when lobbying to the changes that are needed in our sport. You can make a difference by registering at avca.org. Today, our Buzz Show will extend for the full hour, since we'll have not only 2 NCAA men's D1 head coaches, but also 2 NCAA women's D1 beach head coaches, which they are part of this week's 2021 NCAA championship events. Now, let's head over to Austin, Texas with former USC and Texas coach and former Olympic coach, Mick Haley, who will introduce our first guest today. Mick?
Thank you, Ruth. And we need to move along here very quickly because we have got 4 outstanding coaches that are all trying to prepare the teams. So our first guest is the head coach of the University of Hawaii men's team, Charlie Wade. And Charlie, it's really a pleasure to have another Hoosier on. I thought you were from Kokomo, but it says in your bio you're from Warsaw, Indiana. What's that all about?
Yeah, a little farther north than Kokomo. Warsaw High, 1981 grad.
Very good, very good. Hey, you have got this figured out. This is your 11th year. The last 3 or 4 years, you have been on target to shoot for this championship every year. That you can't ask for more than that. Can you explain quickly the tournament for us? Because it seems like it's a hard one to understand with only 7 teams.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Mick, and thanks for having me on. So, the tournament has expanded to 7, which is, I think only the NCAA can explain how that makes sense. But in 2018, we got the Big West Conference to agree to sponsor men's volleyball for the first time. And it's something we've been working on for all the way back to 2010. But once the Big West was started, there really was an opportunity for growth in the men's game because, as most people know, the men's volleyball was only a Final Four. There were only 4 teams for decades. So the West Coast was only getting a maximum of 2 teams in and only 4 teams getting a chance to play for the title. So starting with that 18 season, they expanded the tournament. There's now it's 7 teams. We've also added the Carolina League. And so the growth has been great for the sport. It's a 7-team bracket, 7 play 6 in the bottom half. And then that winner plays the 3 seed, and the 3 seed will play the 2 seed. That's played itself out now, where Lewis and BYU are in the bottom half of the bracket. Last night, we were treated to a really competitive match between Santa Barbara and Pepperdine. Santa Barbara from the Big West came out on top in 4, and we will play them in the top half of the bracket in the other semi.
So you're the number 1 seed coming into this tournament. And a lot of people say, well, that's great. You don't have to play in the preliminary match. But how do you feel about Santa Barbara having a match last night and getting all the kinks worked out and being successful, and now coming in tomorrow night and having to play you and your team not having a match yet?
Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. So you can look at it, you get a little more rest, or And our guys are pretty healthy right now. We're chomping at the bit to get on the court. So, we would have liked to, we've been here since we left Honolulu Sunday night. So, we'd be ready to play every day of the week if we could. And excited for our first practice here in a few minutes in the Covelli Center and our first match tomorrow in the semi.
So one question, just really quick. How did you get a roster as stacked? You got to feel small walking into that huddle. All I saw was 6'9", 6'9", 6'9", 6'9". How does that work? For me, that would be terrifying.
Yeah. I walk around town in Honolulu and people walk up to me like, you're a lot taller than you look on TV. I said, I'm standing next to 6'9", 6'10" guys all the time. So, yeah, we the old adage, you can't teach height, but this is a quality group of young men. They've been exceptional in the classroom throughout their careers. The core group of guys on the floor are going to leave here with master's degrees. We got guys in the program now that are freshmen for a third year and are looking to complete a PhD before they finish their eligibility. So, the height thing is just something that comes along with recruiting quality players and good young men.
Bob Bertucci has a quick question for you.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm glad you talked about the tournament a little bit with 7. It doesn't make any sense at all. And even using the NCAA guidelines, we should be at least up to 8 teams in the tournament based on the number of men's teams playing right now. But that's something I guess we could work out a little bit later. What's your biggest concern going into this tournament?
Well, last time out, we kind of, stumbled a little bit. We've only lost twice in the last 2 years. And, so we haven't had a lot of adversity. And really, we were just a little flat, didn't play well against San Diego in the semifinal of our conference tournament. So, just getting back out on the court and getting into groove. Practices looked really good. Guys are confident, really efficient. Yesterday, like I said, we're looking forward to getting on the court today. So, just getting out and playing our game. When we've played well, we've won. So, I said last time out, we didn't play so well. We played Santa Barbara earlier in the year at their place and beat them 3 nights in a row. I think both teams have improved since then. So we know it'll be a battle and just looking forward to the opportunity.
Yeah, UCSB last night looked pretty good in terms of at least their errors. That they minimized their errors when they were playing. You still feel pretty confident going in against them the way you match up?
Yeah, that's kind of their thing. They run it really fast and they do so. They're really efficient. And if, they'll take a big swing on it kind of on a first ball. And then if they get in trouble, they're good at kind of, backing off and modulating. They're not just going to swing out of their shoes every time. So you got to be ready to play some defense and you got to be ready to get in some rallies with them for sure.
Right. I'm going to kick it to Brian because I'm sure he wants to talk to you a little bit.
Charlie, congratulations.
Brian,
number one all year. Number one. It's hard to be number one the whole time. Congratulations. Wonderful. The playing Santa Barbara, is it, as a coach, is it good to have beat them 3 straight times, facing them this time? Or is it try to beat them a 4th time in a row? I don't know. What do you think?
3 times in a row, I'd say that. Like, like you said, that was back, I think late February, early March, whenever, kind of seems like a long time ago. And how it is with conference opponents, you're just so familiar with them. So, and this time of year, I think you can throw out the records, you can throw out the stats, it's who's going to show up and compete. And the guys that get after it the hardest are going to end up winning.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your team. Tell us about, so the country knows about some of your players.
Yeah, well, today, Radoslav Parapunov, Rado was named ABCA Player of the Year. He's a 6'9" lefty hammer, like 6 rotation point scorer. Pat Gassman's in his 6th year with us, 6'10", middle with just a cannon arm, leads the nation in blocking and hitting percentage, or close, has been there the whole year. Colton Cowell's a guy who's just a walk-on back row specialist from upcountry Maui that was 140 pounds coming out of high school. And he too's in his 6th year and now's, like 190 and just jacked. And, most of his attack attempts are at the top of the antenna and he can touch, low to mid 70s from the service line, and an elite level receiver. Just a really high level player. And like I said, we got guys all the way down the bench. At this point, it's a pretty talented group. But that group of seniors has meant a lot to the program. They've been playing. We've been ranked number 1 3 years in a row and been competing for the championship every year. So hopefully this is the year we break through. If I don't screw it up, we break through and can win.
Yeah, it's always the coach's fault. We all know that. That left-handed right side. I don't know if how many people realize that left hand on the right side, and he's unbelievable. He deserved to be Player of the Year. I've watched him play in person. I don't know how you game plan for him. He's just an outstanding player. Congratulations. Now, as fans, how can we see this game tomorrow night? How do we see it?
Well, I think the semis are only on this year on like NCAA.org, and we got to get to the final. The final will be on one of the ESPN platforms, whether it's ESPNU or the Deuce. I'm not even really sure. But I'm pretty sure this year that the semis are on NCAA.org. You could find that. And I would imagine if you go to any of the participating teams' websites like ours, there'll be a link directly to a way to see it. I know our radio is here live. So if you're just looking for some audio, you can pick that up anywhere on the planet.
Well, I think a lot of people from Hawaii will be listening to that broadcast. I'm going to call them and tell them I want to see it on TV. I can hook up to the Hawaii broadcast. So I was hoping they'd have it on TV. But congratulations again. And I think it's wonderful to sustain a program as long as you have is unbelievable. So I'm turning this over to Ruth.
Okay, I know Mick has one more question because we have a little bit more time, and I know Charlie is ready to get to practice.
Well, yeah, Charlie is doing us a great favor, so I'll not try to keep him. But Charlie, this is your 11th year of the program. You worked with Dave Soji.
12th, actually.
12th. Okay, let's get the record straight. Thank you. So you worked with Soji for about 10 years. I'm 1 or 2 years off there too, I'm sure. But you took over this men's program, and it was kind of in shambles a little bit from some things that had happened. It taken you 3 or 4 years to really build it. But how do you sustain something like this now? Is it just one group of guys, or is it the people you bring in every year? How are you doing this, especially during COVID?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we've been, we got back in the NCAA tournament in 2015 and really been knocking at the door since. And it's about the buy-in. I think all coaches know. And again, I just want to say thank you guys having me on, because I've known you guys through my whole career. I was at one point the young guy. So, I you guys have been doing this.
Still are.
You still are, Charlie. You still are.
But it's about the buy-in, really, because I think any coach, any guy that walks in the gym knows enough about what I say, enough about the ball. They know enough about going in and running a practice and helping people get better. And, and I see young coaches a lot that get so caught up in the ball, in practice, and they're so focused on practice, where at the end of the day, especially at the NCAA level, it's really a small percentage. We are by definition part-time coaches, because we're only allowed in the busiest time of the year 20 hours a week. So it's about the relationships you build and the buy-in that you can get your guys and gals to have. I think having a message that is clear and consistent is really important, and that message has to be about things that are in their control directly and that maybe don't have much to do with the volleyball stuff, right? And when that message is about making them a better person, a better human, and committing to their, contributing to their community, turns out that the buy-in is so much deeper and so much more passionate. So building those personal relationships with everyone in and around the program is really what I think helps you sustain it on a long-term level.
Well, you sure done a great job with that, and we really appreciate you coming on, and we'll let you get out of here and get to your team. But I can't tell you, all 4 of us know what it's like to try to prepare, and you want to stay single focused to get on this tournament the right way to start with. So thank you for taking the 15 minutes with us.
Yeah, thank you. And I got to, not that I think she'll see it, but somebody might share it with her. Today is also my 20th anniversary So
Ah,
special shout out to my
congratulations.
thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, say hi to
Congratulations.
your wife.
Yeah. So if everyone knows, I mean, I used to coach the women. You don't get married in the first week of May if you're coaching men. So I got, so I've been, how many years
Okay.
now around. She's actually grabbing our three boys, Makana, Kainoa, and Keikoa, and getting on a plane and coming out here tonight. So just got to put a shout out to her, and thanks for putting up with me for 20 years.
That's
Congratulations, Charlie.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, Charlie.
Wonderful.
And good luck. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah,
Good
good
luck.
luck. Jamie.
Right
Thank
on,
you
guys.
for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's bring in our second guest, Mick.
Second guest is from USC, the USC head coach of the women's beach volleyball program, Dain Blanton. Dain, only your second year, but you're a gold medal winner in the 2000 Olympics. You should know a lot about what's going on to get ready for this tournament. And I will recall my observations from being at the tournament and watching. It seems like every time that Anna, the former head coach, had a problem on a court, she was screaming for Dain, go to this court. You must have a special calming effect for elite athletes in this situation. How do you feel about the tournament and the way it's seated and how it's set up?
I love it. I think it's seated correctly. I think it was very accurate, and it's going to be probably the most competitive national championship, I think, to date. I think every year beach volleyball gets a little more strong across the board, and it's such a unique format, as you said, Mick. You know, having 5 teams and the way they have the court socially distanced. I was down there yesterday, and I don't know that they had any coaches' input because we only have 3 coaches, right? A head coach and 2 assistants. We got to cover 5 courts, and they're going to run simultaneously. And so I said, are you guys going to provide a golf cart for us? Because I think the first and the last court are about a quarter mile apart.
Oh,
And
my.
it'll be interesting. So if anything, we're going to get our steps in. So I'll probably win the Fitbit battle regardless if we were all in the same group.
So crosstown rivals are seeded 1 and 2. It looked like you were 1 for a lot of the season, and then just there at the end, you weren't able to pull off the Pac-12 championship, so you got seeded 2. Does that make any difference really with a double elimination tournament like this?
No, I don't think it did. It's interesting because I think that there are 4 teams that have exhibited a pretty high level that kind of separated themselves, and that was ourselves, UCLA, LSU, and Florida State. And I say that because I believe one team beat one of those 4 teams that was outside of those 4. I think it was FIU beating Florida State. So we were on, such a high, and there was a time when UCLA took over the 1 spot, and we don't look at the rankings. And Mick, I don't have to tell you about the rivalry. You don't care about where it's ranked or what time it is, but they hosted a great Pac-12s at their place, and they had a great day. They beat us twice, and we had opportunities and didn't capitalize. And against a great team like UCLA, you're never going to win if you don't capitalize. They're well coached. They always have great athletes, and it's a lot of fun. I love playing the big matches, and hopefully if all goes well here that we may see that matchup yet again.
Dain, in basketball, you always worry about the third time you play an opponent. You play one at your place, one at the other place, and then you meet them in the tournament, and oh my God, we've beaten them twice. And all that. You've played UCLA 5 times. You guys have seen each other 5 times. So the 6th time is going to be absolutely, you'll know everything about the team's uniforms, the toenail polish, the whole works out there. I can't imagine the planning going into this and the strategy. But Bob, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Bertucci. He's got a couple of really great questions for you.
All right.
Yeah, Dana, I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, so I need to find out from you. We were told that the NCAA had reduced the number of athletes this year that you guys were able to take to the SAM tournament. Is that true?
No, it's always been 12. And this year it's 12 as well. The fans, and they have the fans kind of in these pods, and it's very restricted for COVID restrictions. But in terms of players, it was always you can put 12 on your roster. You have 10 starters and you have 2 alternates, and that's it. If you have to come out as a starter, you cannot return. So if you're sick or you have an injury and you're unable to continue a match in a duel, that doesn't mean you can come back the next duel. You're out indefinitely. So it's only 12. It's I don't think I've ever seen anyone go through both of their alternates, but it's possible that happened. If that were the case, of course you could play with as little as 6 players, but you better win at all 3 spots, right?
Okay.
So it's the same though. 12 was previous and 12 before. They are back 18 in our national championship. There was talk of going to 12, but since we skipped 2020, I think now we're already talking about 16 and having an even bracket with 16. I think it's an important thing because you guys know as coaches, more schools that can make it to the national championship, it becomes a much bigger deal for the programs and much bigger opportunity. It's similar to as the Olympics grew on the beach in '96, the first Olympics happening, but the FIVB always did a great job including all countries so that they could get out there. It's a similar here. The more schools that can make the national championship, I think the faster the sport's going to grow.
Okay, and what's your biggest concern going into the tournament?
All the work's been done. It's more about preparing the athletes for the right mind frame and keeping them calm. A lot of athletes, when you hit a national championship or an Olympics or anything that's really big, they sometimes put a little too much emphasis on it. So, what we say is everything is important and nothing is special, right? You try to take every match and approach it the same way. Because at the end of the day, you know what? You're not going to what the quote is, rise to the occasion. You're going to fall to the level of your training. And we've trained well. It's just a matter of getting the athletes in a mental frame of mind and using all the tools that we've already equipped them with. And we think we're in a great position. We have great athletes in really great shape, and they're hungry. And I like the fact that they're hungry. You talk about, the Pac-12s last week and having a tough day. I think that ignited some fire. So I couldn't ask for a better position.
Well, you have a friend of mine, Todd Rogers, that you're going to be playing in this first round. What does it look like, your matchup against Cal Poly?
Well, we played Cal Poly a few weeks ago in the tournament up at their house, and we were successful there. But everybody's, as Mick said earlier, everybody is studying tape. Everybody is studying every little nuance that you can, and that's why they call Todd Rogers the professor, right? Because he got in there and did his thing, and we know him as a player. I've been competing against Todd since high school. I think we played against high school teams when he was at Dos Pueblos High School and I was at Laguna Beach High School. And great guy, classy guy, but you got to know when you're going to play a team that's coached by Todd Rogers, he's going to pull out all the stops and all the tricks, and he's going to be ready to go. So I'm going to try to match that as well, but it should be a battle. Like I said, there are no easy matches in the national championship. Every team here is so solid and so dangerous.
Well, I need to pass this over to one of our master coaches that actually is a beach coach, and I'm going to let Brian ask a couple of questions.
All right.
If I was a beach coach, it was a limited experience. However, congratulations, Steve. I'm looking at your hotel room, and I think I stayed at the same one. It still had the sand in the sheets from spring break, as I recall. Right? But
Nothing's changed, Brian.
Nothing's changed. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. For the people out there, for the fans, the courts are all going at the same time. That we didn't have the distance you had, but you are physically running, trying to figure out what court you should be at. And it's very difficult. Explain a little bit more about that to the average fan or the average coach who might not know that there's five
Yeah,
going
well,
on at the
it's
same
interesting.
time.
Right, it's 5 matches going on at the same time. They may stagger it. I think they'll start 2 simultaneously, and then maybe 10 to 15 minutes into that, start the other 3. So they're all going at the same time. We're given just 3 coaches, right? The head coach and 2 assistants. No one else can help out. So you kind of have to pick who you want to be at their court, and then you look at some of your other pairs and you think, okay, they're mature enough to handle themselves, at least in the beginning. So you kind of have to make those choices. Of course, the younger players maybe never been in the environment. You need to give them a little more love. But I was making a joke yesterday. We might be on one court and it'd be 16 all, or the technical timeout, and I go to the other court, the match will be done. It's so far away. So that's something we'll have to address maybe in the future, or hopefully they will consult the coaches, but I don't think the thought was put in there. So it's going to be interesting. You know, it is and I'm not joking, it is a good little distance. And I pride myself in being in shape, but that'll be a challenge. But to fully answer you, Brian, it's so unique. 5 courts going on at the same time. You got to win any 3 of those. We play it to decision, not completion. So as soon as you get to 3, the horn goes off, and the other matches would be stopped at that point. And that team would move on and whatnot. That's so that people aren't playing it out just for the sake of playing it out, right? You got to match it in an hour, so you want to conserve that energy. So I like that format. But it does cause some coaching decisions to be made that usually that we don't deal with.
I remember.
Oh, and also, Brian, let me put a caveat on that. Once you get to the final day, it is flights. You would have 2 teams play to completion, that you could coach to completion, and then 3 start. That's for TV purposes, so they can track a little better. And I think it helps from a coaching purpose as well.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult to telecast because you don't know when it's going to end. So I think it's really a good idea to stagger it like that. I remember you said that some players need you more than others. At least that's our coaching perception. And I remember waiting. I thought I needed to stay at this one court, and I was hoping it would end, and it ended. And I was so happy because I thought 2 courts needed me, and I ran over to the other court as fast as I could because I was so happy we won. And I got to the other one, and I knew this player needed me, and I ran to her, and she looked at me and says, "Coach, I've got this." And like, stay away, you know. We don't need you.
I'd like to have 10 of those.
Yeah. She actually won, and I just sat down and stayed quiet, you know. So talk to me about this. I think the best tournament in terms of what you said in terms of quality of teams. And I don't know, somebody could upset somebody, but there's certainly 4 very good teams who could win. Talk to me a little about your team specifically and some of the competitors you're looking at.
Okay, we're going to make this a short answer because we're running late here.
Big question, sorry.
Okay, yeah, you know, I'm really happy with where my team is. I think the 4 teams you're referring to, UCLA, USC, LSU, and FSU. LSU, really tall. They got some tall players all the way down the line, whereas Florida State are really stacked with a lot of physical options, and they put some interesting combinations together. So it's kind of a clash of different styles, and we got to play LSU twice already, and we split with them, FSU. So it's about who did their homework.
Okay, hey, that's one good way to end it, huh? Dain, you said that. All right, we've run out of time. Dain, and we thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Dain.
Hey, thanks very much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Good
All
luck.
right, thanks, guys.
Okay, good luck. Book your MasterCoaches custom in-person or virtual clinic today by heading over to our Instagram. Click on our bio and click on MasterCoaches Clinic link. If you're wanting a fantastic one-day clinic in Abilene, Texas, join us June 5th by registering on AbileneYSA.org. That is Abilene Youth Sports Authority. We'd like to remember our Buzz reactions are all on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Volleyball Master Coaches, Twitter and Instagram, VB Master Coaches. A special shout out to our SNA Sports and Baden Sports, and thanks to our content providers, NFHS, JVA, Coaches Insider, and AVCA. Now let's go to our Buzz and Buzz Reaction digital partner, Dr. John Foreman, who will update us on his most recent podcast. John.
Thanks, Ruth. I'll keep it quick and simple. Just go to coachingvb.com so we can bring Shawn in and get the full experience.
All right, for those joining us for the second half of today's extended Buzz Show, we will talk about another NCAA men's coach, but also another NCAA women's beach coach that will come on in the second half of the extended show. So now, Mick, let's bring on our first guest.
Oh, yeah, it's really, really exciting to have Shawn Olmstead, the head coach of the men's volleyball team at Brigham Young University. But Shawn, it wasn't too long ago that you were the head coach of the women's team at BYU. And I know when I coached men and women at Kellogg Community College, I was coaching them both at the same time. But you've had great success with both the women and now the men. You've been to the Final Four at least 3 times in your 6 years with the men's team. This being, I believe, if I've got my stats right, your 4th time. How does this all feel? And you've got the number 2 seed. How do you feel about the tournament?
Hey guys, I think you're talking to me, right, Mick? Sorry, the computer was on mute right at the start, so I apologize.
Sorry. Oh yeah. So did you hear any of that?
No, I did. No, I did. Yeah, I did.
I love it.
Before we get going, hey, just for my pops, I just want to say hello, and he misses a lot of those old. You guys are his crew, and all those relationships mean the world to my dad, you know, and. So I just had to say that he thinks very highly of each one of you guys. So thanks it's an honor for me to just be on here, you know, because I know that what my dad thinks of you guys and values those friendships. So yeah, but here we are. Just, you know, you guys have been through this deal a lot more than I have. And, but, you know, each year, as you guys know, each team is different. Each team develops, you know, in their own unique way. And you see that throughout the course of your training and your season and your year, you see those guys change and develop. And so I don't know, I feel like I'm getting older, but I'm really not. I feel like a young buck. I still feel like I'm a young guy, you know. There's a lot of times that I get fired up and like, hey, you're not listening to me. I think you look at me as a young guy still, you know, but I just, here we are. And I'm looking at this experience as just, man, you know, we're going to compete. We're going to get after it. I can be certain of that. But you start to really like just go, and you don't take the moments in and go, wow, and you're just mesmerized by that. But you just appreciate them, I guess. And because so many people give so much, and this year is so unique just with what everybody's gone through, you know, and the fact that we're here. I mean, honestly, in December, you guys, as you guys probably know, in December, I was telling our guys, we're playing. I told them all fall, we're going to play. We're going to make this work. I wasn't telling them, like, we didn't have a schedule. We had no schedule until almost Christmas time. So here we are, and we're grateful to be here. So
well, and
excited to be here with this. This is big time for me.
You have to be excited about it. You've assembled a great roster. I looked at your roster, looked at Hawaii's roster, looked at Lewis's roster. You have Lewis tomorrow night. You look huge. Hawaii looks huge. As far as size goes, your 2 teams are humongous. How are you going to match up against Lewis tomorrow night? And what do you look for out of your team?
Well, the funny thing, Mick, it's hilarious that you say that, because my wife texted me. She's not here, you know, and she texted me last night while I was scouting those games. And remember, we're Mormon, we're LDS. You don't use 4-letter words. But she said, "Holy fill in the blanks, Lewis is huge." And that was the text. We had practiced, and I went straight to those matches. I hadn't heard from her or talked to her, and she wrote that to me. Holy, you know, and again, don't get me in trouble at BYU, but you know, no, you know, Mick, you guys have seen the game progress. You look at these kids. Each time I walk in the gym, I'm like, what's going on with our sport? I remember when a guy that was 6'2" could get away with playing middle, and you could be an opposite, you could be crafty. It's just become this game that is just, it's so physical and fast and strong. And to be able to keep up and compete at this level, it's you really have to have, you've got to be able to have those guys that, with the serving that it's at right now, that can really bail you out of long rallies, that can detonate a ball with three big guys up against them. And that's where we're seeing the game, and our local media always gets mad at me because all my questions go back to serve and pass. Hey, if we can serve and pass, I think we'll be in a pretty good spot. And they always get frustrated, but that's the case.
Well, I'm going to turn you over to Bob Bertucci, who took Rutgers to the Final Four many years ago, and he said the same thing when he went to the Final Four with Rutgers. So, Bob, what questions do you have?
Well, Shawn, it's great to talk to you. Congratulations on getting in the tournament, actually having a season this year, because at one point we didn't know we were going to even have a season, as you said, with the schedule. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Lewis. I mean, I haven't seen your team play live anyway this year, but I saw Lewis last night and on TV, and they are big.
Yeah. And they're thanks for the compliments and appreciate that and appreciate your question. That's a big team. And if you watch it, they've also got a few servers that can actually change the tone of the game. And you saw that last night against Penn State. And those were close matches. And I felt this year was going to be tight and very competitive volleyball. And we've seen that thus far. I anticipate that being the rest of the weekend with all these matchups. But look at those matches last night. And so they've got a big boy in the middle that they're going to work really hard to get him the ball. And they're going to actually run him in different circumstances so they can get him the ball even more. They're going to have him step out, leave the middle open, and he's going to go hit what we call a red behind the setter. He's going to go on a slide kind of tight behind the setter. He's going to go on a slide wide just to get that kid the ball. He's 6'10". He can get off the floor. He's built like a truck. I mean, he's a strong boy that carries a large load. And so then you look at Cohen, their outside hitter. I think he's 6'9", right under him. And then they've got Bougie that's a 6'5", built kid, real strong kid. So I firmly believe it's going to come down to, again, I say it, a game of serve and pass. Whoever can get each other off the net. Now it's going to come down to those arms that are going to have to bail us out of those situations. And our big arms, their big arms are going to take a lot of swings, and our big arms are going to take a lot of swings. And because if a team can be in system, both of us could probably side out for days to come through Sunday if we need to, but that's going to be coming the factor that it's going to come down to. And of course, blocking, all these other skills play a role. So don't get me wrong. That's not the only thing we're doing, but that's going to be key with these teams, and especially them feeding the ball in the middle and such.
Well, you've assembled, let's talk a little bit about your team. You've assembled a really nice team. All right. And I know how good you are recruiting, because I just lost that Italian kid to you.
Hey,
Gosh,
there you go.
He was a marquee player for us, but he ended up wanting to become Mormon, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. There you go.
But anyway, let's talk a little bit about your team and where you see the strengths and how you're going to match up against that big Lewis team.
Yeah, we're fortunate that we're a makeup. We have a nice niche in the international. We always have. Carl did a pretty good job there. The Aussie Antonettis and on that he brought over. Luca Slave now, and Luca was a great player here at BYU, and so many others. But we've now got a Brazilian, good, strong in the middle. His dad was a former national team guy. We've got Gabby Garcia Fernandez, and I mean that right now, it's a pretty world-class arm. You don't see an arm like that too often in the college. You just don't. That arm's ready to go play. He's got to learn a lot more to the game. Of course, we all know that, but he can go and he can grip it and rip it, and so Gabby's done a great job. And then of course, everyone, Davide Gardini, his dad's one of the most decorated volleyball players that Italy has ever had, Andrea Gardini. And so we're fortunate there. And then we've got Will Stanley, Clay Stanley's little brother, the gold medalist opposite, just a great volleyball player who's been with us a long time, and he's learned a lot and grown a lot. And, you know, the unsung hero is Zach Eschenberg on the outside. That's just kind of the goofy kid, you know, the typical, he's the kind of guy that'll knock your door with a white shirt and tie. You know, you're going to see him and go, hey, I've seen that guy, you know? And, but man, he just plays the role and he's just efficient. He's never once in 5 years said or complained to me or asked for more. He's just you got to coach, and the guys just love him. I love him for that. And so we've got a nice group, and you know, the dynamics of different foreigners are kind of fun and interesting for us to learn as we go. And we've definitely had some growing pains, you know, as all teams do as you build. So we're excited about that. And those guys, we're looking for a tough matchup.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Brian. I'm sure he has a couple of questions for you also.
Shawn, it's nice of you to, congratulations first, but it's nice of you to mention your dad. And he's one of the great guys. Yeah. Great ref. For people who don't know, I don't know how long he's been reffing, 40 plus years. And yeah. He's one, I don't know if I've ever met a referee so involved. I mean, I've actually talked to him 30 years later after a call he made. He brought it up. He brings it up and says, you know, I'm not sure that was the right call. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he lives it, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And I see, by the way, you in him, in you, the enthusiasm, the interest. I can see why you're so successful and so good. So tell me about the tournament itself. Let's look at what could happen. Let's say you are successful in the top 2 seeds. Let's say the top 2 seeds are successful. Maybe, you know, I don't want to jinx anything, but let's say what do you haven't played Hawaii yet this year. So what do you think of them and you?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I'm looking. I think the screen's got beach volleyball.
Yeah.
I'd love to go.
I was looking at it too.
I thought, hey, okay.
I can work on my tan.
Okay.
He's in trouble.
All right, you guys.
Ruth is always promoting the women's game all the time. Doesn't matter.
Hey, listen, you know what I'm going to do to you guys?
Good catch on your point.
No, sorry. But hey, Brian, first off, you're lucky I didn't get emotional because I'm a dad of 5 kids now, just trying to keep up with my dad. But that means the world, and he'll love to hear that, and that will mean more to him than anything. But and he has the most Final Fours of any ref, When I was a freshman at BYU, my dad was selected to ref the Final Four, and it's just I use this. It's a credit to the old guys that know my dad. It was like, you know, Skates and those guys, and hey, Rick's on. He can't be. And they said, no, Rick's going to be there. You don't have to put him up. His son's I was a bench guy. His son's at BYU, but Olmstead's got to be there. So he was down. We won that. And my dad just took off running to the locker room because he didn't want anyone to think that he was looking for me. And I didn't even go see him. My dad sent another ref to go find me, to pull me in a hallway to take a picture so no one would see us taking a picture. That's my dad for you guys. So
that sounds like your dad.
Yep. But anyways, no. So, you know, a great question, Brian. The last matches of 2020 were us at Hawaii. They were number 1. We were number 2. We went in there. We got after them really well. We actually had the best performance we've ever had in the rally scoring era, hitting percentage. Gabby had 8 aces on the island that night. And we won in 3. The next night we were up 2-0, and darn it, one of those, we've been on both ends of them, guys. You know, you're up 2-0 and you lose in 5. But they brought their group back. We brought our group back. We haven't been able to play each other. But, you know, I won't ever look ahead, nor would you guys ever, you know. And I think back in your young days, you know, a few of you guys might have ripped at the media guys asking those questions. But I think too highly of you guys.
I did myself.
Yeah. I know. So no. But yeah, again, you look at those 2 teams and rosters, and you know, maybe everyone wants to see the 1 and 2, but I think Santa Barbara. Those guys scrap the ball. It is hard to get the ball down on the floor. And you know, those teams, your guys have to be in it for the long haul. They've got to take swing after swing after swing, and that can get at you. So don't overlook those guys. We know that. and Rick's phenomenal. But we'd love to, we're excited to play anybody, but Hawaii would be some international guys too, against our international guys, some local guys, there's a lot of connections there. So whatever matchup comes our way, we'll put all our time and attention on Lewis, as you guys know, but all the matchups could be great.
Okay, Shawn, we are out of time. We are on a schedule.
Okay.
And you know what? Those guys like to rip on me. I'd like to see them behind this screen and putting up these photos and creating the photos and doing everything.
Yeah,
So,
but we're not competitive, Shawn. We're not competitive.
Yeah.
okay, Shawn, hey, thanks for coming on. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Shawn.
it.
Thanks, Shawn. Good
Good
luck.
luck.
Really good. Really good.
Great job, Shawn. Good luck.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Okay, Mick, let's take our second and final guest today.
Well, we've got it going. We've got the crosstown rival of the Trojans coming on, the #1 seed in the national championship draw for women's beach. Stein Metzger, this is his 9th year as the head coach, the #1 seed. Welcome aboard, Stein, and thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks, Mick, for having me. Pleasure to be here.
You're pretty strong. You could control weather so much that were able to get this weather the way you wanted it so you could come on the show. I'm pretty impressed. I would think that you have the edge to win this thing by having all that control. What do you think of the tournament, the way it's set up, the way it's seated?
I wasn't privy to all the information. The seating seems about right. The tournament itself is just great. I was able to play professionally for 14 years, traveled all over the world, went to the best tournaments everywhere. And this tournament is as good or better than any of them. It's the excitement when you have 5 pairs playing at the same time is just palpable. And there's really just nothing better.
Well, that's saying a lot. You ought to go on a commercial for the NC2A. They would really appreciate that. They haven't had too much love lately, so that's real nice for you to say.
Well, just the format of beach volleyball in college, because there are 5 pairs playing as a team. You have the individual and the team environment, and it's drama times 5, so it makes it really exciting.
So, are you worried about sprinting from one of the far courts to the other end of the far court, or have you got that figured out and you got a go-kart with big sand wheels and the whole works?
I've been getting my jogs in the morning because it's a long distance. They did change the layout from a horseshoe to in a straight line.
Oh my.
Figure out who we're going to prepare with. Typically when we go into a tournament, we like to prepare with certain pairs. So we'll go into a tournament and I'll be like, okay, I've got the 4s and 5s. Jenny, you got the 2s and 3s. Jose, you got the 1s. You'll jump to the 2s if you need to. But the way it changes each day through the tournament makes it really difficult to figure that out. So we're going to have to remain really flexible. We're going to have to prepare for more of the pairs. And like you said, we're going to have to get our jog on, because if you're with the 2s and the 5s, you're basically running across all the courts to get down there.
Unbelievable. I'm glad I'm not coaching. I'd probably get halfway down and just roll over. That would be my job.
Your head's got to be on a swivel.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the other thing. I asked this question before to our other guest. You play basketball, you have a home and home, and then you usually end up playing that team again in the tournament someplace. And that third time is always, if you won the first 2, then you got to play them a third time. And there's always some screwy things that happen the third time. But you got a situation where you and USC have played 5 times this year. They dominated the first 3. You pretty much had control of the second 2. How does that make you feel? But you two going in 1 and 2 and trying to own the sand there in Los Angeles area.
Well, we've pretty much gotten used to it. SC has been a powerhouse since the inception of the sport. Took us a little bit longer to kind of make our way to the top tier. And nowadays, it just seems like it's going to be a constant battle. I know Dain, before it was Anna and I would talk, and now it's Dain and I talk when we're setting up schedules preseason. We don't have a conference schedule, so we choose our opponents. And Dain and I figure, hey, we're in the same area. Let's just continue to play each other and make each other better. and the rivalry makes it that much more intense, which means there's more preparation. We're constantly watching what's happening across town. And I think that we make each other better through that battle.
Well, I'm going to throw you to Bob Bertucci. He's been hanging out down there in Manhattan Beach. He sneaks in every once in a while to watch his beach players train. Bob, take it over and ask Stein some good questions here.
Well, I have a good story to tell Stein. So Mick was right. I was down in Manhattan Beach. I was staying with him and doing a beach clinic with Beach Nation, and Todd was the lead coach there, and he goes, all right, Bob, go down to your court and do the Stein drill. I said, the Stein drill? What the hell's a Stein drill? So they have a drill named after you that Beach Nation uses all the time in our starter first day of the clinic. All right, and it's a setting drill, as you probably know it very well, and they honor you by calling it by your name.
Oh, that's nice. Educate me. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to ask Todd about it. He'll give you. Yeah. So tell me a little bit, not being a beach guy, except for the new experiences I've had with Beach Nation. All right. So all 5 pairs are playing. All right. Now, do you have to win 3 of those 5 to be able to move on, and then you move into the winner's bracket? If you lose, then you go down into the losers bracket with all your pairs?
Correct. Yeah. So in each matchup, it's our ones play the opponent's ones all the way down to 5. We're required to list them in terms of merit. So our best team, we're supposed to put in the first position onward or on down. And you continue to have that same lineup for the entire event. Now, during the regular season, you can change that lineup, but you can only move somebody up 1 or up down as you go from matchup to matchup, from match to match. But once you get into what's considered an event, which is typically postseason, we don't have too many of those during the regular season. Once you set your lineup, that's it. You stick with it. Now, if somebody gets hurt or somebody comes down with something, you can replace that one person, but you can't change your lineup from there. So we've got 2 alternates. When somebody in the 3s gets heat exhaustion, you just plug a player right in there, and then you just roll with that. So you have to be pretty smart as you're going through the season about who are those 2 alternates going to be, and they have to be able to play in a variety of positions with a variety of people.
So in some cases, those alternates are kind of like utility players that can play either the passer role, the hitter role, the setter role, whatever.
Very much so. And well, everyone's got to do every skill except for typically there's the blocking and the defender, the backcourt defender specialize in those 2 categories. So oftentimes you'll see people bring a blocker and a defender, or they'll have what we call a split. It's somebody who can do both. They're typically about 5'11". They jump well, they can block, they can serve well. They can pull off the net, and they can play defense, and that's a utility player. We've got one of those as an alternate, which is Hannah Fair for us, and then we have our traditional defender in Cami Sanchez. So we feel like we're ready to plug somebody in if we need to. Hopefully we don't have to, but we did have to do that last year. We plugged in a young woman by the name of Maddie Yeomans, who came in and ended up going undefeated through the tournament. It's a really special story.
That's great. Now, let's say, for example, your first round, TCU loses. Now they have to go down into the losers bracket. Do they have to keep that 8th seed even all the way through the losers bracket?
Oh, in terms of seed, yeah, that's a good question. I'm sure I know that one.
Good, Bob.
For me, I mean, you stuck me on that one, Bob. The only way I think it would matter would be uniform color and which box that you take. And I'm sure somebody would tell me where to go. So
I love it.
Well, I'm going to pass it to Brian. Brian, of course, has won a national championship on the beach, and I'm sure he'll have more specific questions to ask. Stein.
Great, thanks.
Congratulations. Yeah, I won during the prehistoric time here. So the beginning. Yeah.
No, but I remember it. I remember watching that.
Yeah. Thanks. Just as a curiosity, when you said they're setting up in a line, all 5 courts in a line, that's new. And just my own curiosity, how is that set up? Are they doing 1 through 5, or how is it? Is the middle court 1, or do you know? I thought it was
definitely 1. I know I got the diagram somewhere here on my desk. We start with 1 in the middle. They're all end on end.
I see.
And further to run. So 1 is in the center, and then you'll have 2 and 3 on 2 sides, and then it'll be 2s and 4s on one side. So it goes 1, 2, 4, and the other side it'll go 1, 3, 5.
Oh, that's just interesting because how you're going to divide it.
So
Right. This one's a tough one to figure out, and for coaches, I think they did it based on TV, like how they wanted to lay it out, and it's not ideal for the coaches. But if you make every challenge your advantage, then you can find a couple points out of it.
So Brian, if Stein is doing the 4s and 5s, they're at either end. He's got to sprint. We got to find out what kind of shape he's really in.
I'm not in great
The
shape,
4
Meg.
and 5s need the most help.
Do they?
I'm in the worst shape of my life right now, so it's going to be trouble out there.
Well, it's really exciting. It's an exciting event. ESPN seems to love it. Talk to me about, the 4. Well, I don't know. There's 8 good teams, 8 teams that deserve it. But the top 4 this year seems to be the best 4 I've seen so far. So talk to me about how you picture this. So what do you see, or something about these teams, the top 4 seeds?
Yeah, it seems like the top 4 seeds, there's a little separation between those teams and the rest. I think the top 4 teams can beat each other on any given day. Then you move on to LMU at 5. I think they're trying to make the jump into that group, but I might give them, a 20-30% chance of a win on that day, whereas those top 4, it's like a 50-50. It's a total gamble. So it does seem to have a lot of parity in the top half in terms of us just battling with each other. But you never know. I mean, you guys have all been a part of national championships, especially that first round. You don't know who's going to show up. Is it the heckle, the Hyde team? It's like you just got to get through that first round, calm the nerves, and get the jitters out, and then get going. But some of these teams are brand new and they have not experienced the NCAA. TCU is one of them. Stanford's another one. It'll be interesting to see how they come out on the first day.
Well, I really think it's a great sport. When I coached, I found it was the only time I've ever seen players look forward to practice. They like it. They look forward to it, and you can see the physical changes, jumping and running on that sand. So is there somebody in particular, where are you the strongest? Who's the most successful? Is it your 1s, your 5s? Who's the team to watch?
I think if you talked about us historically in general, we've always been very good in the bottom portion, in the 4s and 5s. We tend to have a deep team. We don't tend to have the most physical in terms of height. We win our matches with ball control, with speed, with our systems, and we have a pretty deep team. There's a lot of kids out of California that are playing the game at a high level that we've been blessed to have on our team. And so I think that has typically been our strength. This year in the 1s, however, there are a lot of great 1s teams out there. I think LSU has the best one this year, but our 1s team is pretty dynamic and really fun to watch. And they've traded blows with USC. They won 2 and then lost 2. That's also a very good 1s team. But Savvy Simo, who's a 5th year for us, you may remember her from the indoor side. She was an undersized outside hitter her senior year. She is just spectacular, dynamic. She is as fast as can be in the backcourt. And she's playing with a redshirt freshman out of Florida who's got to be the top 2 or 3 freshmen in the country, along with Meg Kraft out of USC. So they run all kinds of plays. They run fakes. They'll fake forward. They'll do back quick sets. They're really dynamic. They have great serving. They're just a really fun team to watch. If you're going to watch one team, I would watch them.
Thank you. And we're out of time, but I really appreciate it. Can't wait. And I can't wait till the tournament gets to Southern California. so he can watch it. Anyway,
Yeah.
congratulations from all of us. I'm turning it
thank
over to
you.
Ruth.
I thank you.
Okay, well, we're out of time, as you know, and thanks for joining us today for our extended Buzz Show. We look forward to following both the men's championship and the women's beach championship this week. For those viewers that want to be on the Buzz Reaction guest list, jump over to our VB Master Coaches Instagram, go to the bio and click on the sign up to be on a guest list. For those coaches that are interested in our consulting services, please email from our link on our VB Master Coaches Instagram. Be sure to tell your friends about our weekly news show. And thanks for joining us today, and see you next week on the Buzz.